Hello everyone. Since the news quite recently has been somewhat depressing, what with the map of the American election looking a bit like this, so there's not much hope there, and with Dominic Cummings currently leaving number 10, I thought why not white pill myself and dunk on Labour for a bit. Because as I went through recently, they had a large anti-Semitism report come out from the Human Rights Watchdog, and found that the Labour Party were fairly anti-Semitic, causing Comrade Corbyn to be suspended. So that was it. I thought Labour's known for being anti-Semitic. They have been found to be anti-Semitic by law that they themselves brought in. But the bigotry from the Labour Party doesn't stop there. Because according to The Guardian today, over half of Muslim Labour members do not trust party to tackle Islamophobia. New report is latest sign that leadership is losing trust of ethnic minority supporters. Oh dear. Mr. Starmer, I thought you were the less bigoted party. I thought you were for progress. More than half of Muslim members of the Labour Party do not trust Keir Starmer to tackle Islamophobia, with nearly the same proportion saying they do not have confidence in the party's complaints process, a new poll has found. Funny, quite a lot of Jews were saying that when Corbyn was in charge. The report by the Labour Muslim Network, the LMN, is the latest sign that the party's new leadership is losing the trust of minority ethnic members and supporters, even as it struggles to recover from an anti-Semitism crisis that led to a collapse in support from Jewish voters. Yes, Labour they're tanking minority votes, it seems. The findings echo complaints aired earlier this year by members of the party's own black and minority ethnic staff network that there is a perception of a hierarchy of racism within the party, wherein some forms of racism are regarded as more serious than others. Wow, it's almost like Labour is the party of intersectionality, and intersectionality literally has a hierarchy of bigotry. If something happens to a disabled black woman, that is much worse than bigotry happening to a Hindu, Indian, able-bodied man, because all they do is look at statistical outcomes and nothing else, meaning that, as I'm sure most people who watch this channel regularly will agree, is utter bollocks. So let's get some of the details of this report. A survey of 422 Muslim members or supporters of the party found that nearly 6 in 10, or 59%, did not feel well represented by the leadership of the Labour Party, and nearly half, 44%, did not believe the party takes the issue of Islamophobia seriously. Oh my. It found 55% did not trust the leadership of the Labour Party to tackle Islamophobia effectively, and 48% did not have confidence in the party's complaints procedure to deal with Islamophobia. Again, a similar complaint to the Jews and anti-Semitism in the party. But it'll be interesting to know how these individuals define Islamophobia, because as far as I can tell, it's anywhere between literally beating up Muslims to saying that Muhammad is not the one last, final and true prophet. And who knows, some of them might even think that being against the beheadings in France is probably Islamophobic. I don't know, this is why I'd rather have more details like that, so hopefully The Guardian gets into it. But just before that, I want to make another point. 422 surveyed members isn't that many. I mean, it's hard to get demographics of the Labour Party membership, but given, as I said before, it's the party of progress and the party of internationalism, you're probably going to see quite a lot of Muslims who are likely also immigrants or descendants of immigrants joining the party. And also, this was Labour Party members and supporters, so 442 of them out of potentially hundreds of thousands in that demographic, which probably isn't a good representative of this demographic, but hey, it gives me something to laugh at Labour for, so I'll take it. Anyway, let's get back to The Guardian. Issues raised included concerns over examples of Islamophobia highlighted in a leaked report into Labour's governance and legal unit, the party's approach to the government's anti-radicalisation prevent strategy, and general anxiety over how the party's approach to Palestine would change under the new leadership. See, this is what I mean. Things like how they'd approach anti-radicalisation with prevent, i.e. they don't want them targeting Muslims, even though that we have quite a big Islamisation problem in Europe and the UK, obviously. And also, there's anxiety over the approach to Palestine. Again, just there's this weird obsession with Israel that Labour have. I don't know why. One Labour supporter quoted in the report said, "Like in most institutions within the UK, as a Muslim it often feels as though we are towards the bottom of the list when it comes to human rights, being respected and having our best interests heard and advocated. It feels as though within all institutions within the UK, it has become increasingly acceptable to condemn and even abuse Muslims." Again, that's not exactly the high level of detail I kind of wanted to hear from this report. It was just, it basically sounds like people were mean to him, and he's like, we're at the bottom of the list when it comes to human rights. It's like, you need a good example of what you mean by that, because I have no idea what you mean. Do you mean that you're getting beaten up and physically abused because of your belief? Or do you mean people are being a bit rude to you when you feel like you didn't deserve it? Well, hopefully there's more detail than this. A Labour source told The Guardian that there was significant concern within the party over the way that Islamophobia complaints are handled, with no code of conduct for dealing with Islamophobia compared to that which has been put in place for dealing with anti-Semitism. As a result, high-profile cases, such as that of Trevor Phillips suspended by the party in March over allegations of Islamophobia, are still in limbo. What was it Trevor Phillips said again? Well, here, according to the Times, is a summary of the comments made by Trevor Phillips that got him suspended. A pioneering anti-racism campaigner, Mr. Phillips, 66, now faces expulsion from the party for alleged prejudice against Muslims. He first alerted Britain to the problem of Islamophobia in the 1990s, but is now being investigated for public statements that include expressing concerns about Pakistani Muslim men sexually abusing children in northern towns such as Rotherham. Okay, so that's Islamophobic apparently. Comments by Mr. Phillips about the failure by some Muslims to wear poppies for Remembrance Sunday and the sympathy shown by a substantial proportion in an opinion poll towards the motives of the Charlie Hebdo killers also form part of the complaint. Again, this is what I mean. It's Islamophobic to say maybe you shouldn't shoot up a magazine's office. He told Today on BBC Radio 4 that he had been suspended with immediate effect and accused the party of shutting down genuine debate. "They say I've accused Muslims of being different. Muslims are different, and in many ways I think that's admirable. We cannot continue to simply say differences don't matter. It's a form of disrespect," he says. And yeah, there's nothing there that I disagree with. But Mr. Phillips was one of the first people to try and start this Islamophobia name-calling thing. So really, he's been hoisted by his own petard. Which is why I just find this whole thing with Labour so funny. They are the ones saying that the Tories are the Islamophobic ones. Everyone else is bigoted but us. We're the progressive ones. And it turns out that everyone's complaining about them. Like their own minority ethnic group support has constantly gone on about how they don't feel enough's being done for them. Despite the fact that Labour is leaps and bounds ahead in doing exactly what they want and what they ask for. So it's hilarious when it backfires on them. Just don't try and appease them. It's not good enough for the ideologues, and it never will be. And it's ruining the country even trying to do it. Anyway, we may as well try and finish this off. So the source said that the party had changed its processes around anti-Semitism following scrutiny from the media, but such a thing doesn't exist with Islamophobia. Also, other parties are significantly worse. The Tories are just off the charts with Islamophobia as well as anti-Semitism. See what I mean? It's always like, but the Tories are worse. The Tories are worse. Come to us. Come to us, BAME people. A Labour Muslim network spokesperson said the findings of its report were deeply concerning and called on Labour to take comprehensive action on the racism experienced by Muslims in the party. A statement provided by Labour and attributed to Starmer and his deputy, Angela Rayner, oh my god, I forgot she was the deputy, did not address the issues raised with leadership, but said they would work with the Labour Muslim network to implement its recommendations. So this is the thing. With anti-Semitism, they don't do anything till the anti-Semitism watchdog comes along and says, hey, maybe you might want to make some changes here and there to help out with the anti-Semitism problem you have. But then, they don't listen to their Jewish members. They don't listen to the Jewish network or anything like that. But as soon as that's done, now every other minority group, now they all have their own network within the party. Now they're all pushing for the change as well. And it's just going to make Labour... It's going to be impossible to say anything in Labour that isn't intersectional doctrine. It said, we thank Labour Muslim Network for this important report, as well as their work to ensure our Muslim members are represented, included and heard. Islamophobia has no place in our society and we are committed to rooting it out. It's just bland. Oh, we promise we won't be offensive anymore, Muslims. It's just bland, intersectional crap like that, where they probably won't even do that much, but it'll be enough to appease them because it looks like they're doing something. But what I absolutely love is how this Labour spokesperson was just like, oh, no, 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 no. The Tories are worse. The Tories are much worse for Islamophobia. It's all over the Tory party. Well, if that were the case, then why did the Equalities Watchdog drop the plan for the Tory Islamophobia inquiry? The Conservative Party commits to own investigation, but UK's largest Muslim body brands it a facade. Well, of course they would, because they think that complaining about the Charlie Hebdo shootings is Islamophobia. But it is just amazing how the Labour Party can keep up the facade of being the party of progress, the party for the minorities, and yet they seem to get the most complaints from minorities. The anti-Semitism thing, absolutely huge. This Islamophobia thing, small for now, but they'll keep trying to gather evidence and they'll keep trying to expand what Islamophobia means just so they can keep having to go at Labour and essentially make it the Muslim party. That seems to be what they're going for. And if they push that too much, then despite Boris Johnson not being the best thing that the Red Wall could have asked for, I can't see them ever going back to Labour if they do become the Muslim Party of Britain. And I think this is what they are trying to sow the seeds for, really. Because as we say, this is just an opinion poll, and already it looks like Labour's going to do what they can to appease them in every way they can. So I'll keep a close eye on what they do with this, because it may be very unsurprising, but it will be very funny. Anyway, that's all I had for you today. So, as usual, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.